Good morning, class. Welcome to AET 830, Internet of Things and Industrial Applications. My name is Yi Chai, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Applied Engineering Technology. I will be the instructor for this class. For your information, the syllabus of this course has been uploaded on Blackboard, so you should be able to access it. So the course assignments and the schedule for the office hours are also included in the syllabus. So for this first class, we'll go through some background information of Internet of Things. Basically, after this unit, you should have some idea of how Internet of Things came along the way in the history and what are some expectations and characteristics of it. So specifically in this chapter, we'll cover the following topics. So why the Internet of Things is coming nowadays. So we have some background review for how Internet of Things have been evolving in the past maybe decades, and we'll discuss Internet of Things in the global context, basically why it is coming out this time, and we'll show a use case example to help you understand what is the difference between the current applications of sensors and mobile devices and the Internet of Things approach. Basically, it will help you better understand what is yet to come. And in the last part of this lecture, we'll also highlight the importance of a shift in mindset. Basically, due to the Internet of Things, many things are changing. Then the most important thing is to keep your mindset up to date. So don't just try to solve problems using the old approach, using the old thinking method. So we should have a new mindset for this. So along with the lecture, so I would like you to read chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the textbook. Basically, it is always my style that I will incorporate the most important information, most important materials in the lectures and also the PowerPoints. Basically, you should be able to learn quite well using just the lectures and the PowerPoints. But if you want to have a better understanding of some of the concepts, or you want to enhance your background in this area with some details, so it is very highly recommended that you go to read the textbook. And also, before we go into the lectures, so I would like to explain the fonts I use in PowerPoints. So basically, for the normal content, I will use I will use the fonts that look like this with different levels. Basically, they are normal content. So those things are what you need to read and understand. Okay. And for some important key points, most of the time they're key points. They will be marked in red. So you need to understand it well. Basically, they are the key points in that slide or maybe in the chapter. So if you be able to understand them well, basically you know what they are, what the importance is, and something like that, then you should be good to go. And also, there are some content in the italic format. Basically, it is tilted like this way. Most of the time, there will be some supporting reading material. There may be some examples, or there may be some explanation of the some terminology, which are not very important, but it will be helpful if you know what they are. So they may or may not be covered in the detail in the class, but will help you understand. So basically, when you try to, after the lectures and you plan to work on homework, it is recommended that you just go through this content also. Okay, so that's the setting for this class. Okay, now let's come to the first topic of this lecture. So why the Internet of Things? Basically, when we ask why, that means why at this time, right? why didn't it come up maybe 20 years ago? Why won't it come up maybe 20 years later? Why at this time? And also why it is Internet of Things, not what Internet of Animals, maybe in the future, but something like that. So basically this topic will help you to have a better understanding. Why? When we look at the terminology, Internet of Things. So first of all, it is an internet. So when we talk about internet, maybe many of you are not from the computer related majors. So just a brief background information. The internet come out into public. Basically it become popular in the 1980s. Now it may be maybe almost 40 years now. And after that, we come up with the World Wide Web. Basically, when you type the website nowadays, you see www. Basically, the 3 W's stand for World Wide Web. It is started in 1990s. So basically nowadays, internet, well, basically we use them every day, right? Basically, internet and the web, web service, web, and the World Wide Web have tremendously changed the way we are living. So let me give you some examples. So let's talk about the music industry. So maybe this is too old for you, but when I was young, people were using tapes, plastic tapes, to listen to music. Of course, they were also using radios. And for the tapes, it is, for those of you who don't know what it is, basically it is a little bit difficult to describe it. So it is a plastic item which has a tape, and magnetic fields are used to extract information from the tapes. Basically, we can extract music. And after that, we came up with the CD players. So CD discs, those shining circle discs, right? And after that, we come up with the MP3 and maybe something like that. But nowadays, those things, I know some of you are still a fan of CD, but nowadays, many people are using something like Spotify, right? And Apple Music. So basically, this Spotify, Apple Music, and also the SXM, or I listen to music in my car using that. They are based on the development of internet. So without internet, so this media will not be available. Basically, they also changed the way we listen to music, right? So previously, we need to buy the CD, maybe buy a CD for our favorite singers. But nowadays, with the Apple Music or maybe Spotify, you can listen to them and have a larger variety of choices. And also, let's look at the travel industry. So nowadays, when you go to travel, you maybe go to hotels.com, maybe Expedia, something like that. And then you search the hotel, try to get a coupon, and you may also rent your car there and book your flights. But this is due to the help of internet. So everything is very easy now. Maybe you can book your whole trip in 10 minutes. But in the past, you need to search for the white book for the hotels in the area, and then you need to call them to book the hotel. And also the same also applies to flights. You need to call the airline companies to see what flights are there. So you may need to talk to them for maybe an hour to finally book your flights. So for the retail, well, this is something I have many stories. So did you notice how long it takes you to buy an item from Amazon now? Basically, it takes you just 1 second, right? So you search for your item you want, you read the reviews and feels it is a good one, and then you just press add to cart and then proceed to check out, something like that. So maybe 1 or 2 seconds. But in the past, without internet, you need to go to the corresponding stores to buy the items you want, right? So if you want to buy a radio, for example, you need to go to the maybe Best Buy, something like that. If you need to buy some shampoo, then you need to go to the Walmart or something. But with the internet enabled online shopping, so you can do everything all at one place, maybe on Amazon, maybe on Target.com, something like that. Okay, basically what I want to emphasize here is that the internet has dramatically transformed the way we live. So this is also expected for Internet of Things. It will be another such wave of fundamental transformation. So the difference between Internet and Internet of Things comes from the things, right? Basically, for Internet of Things, let me call it IoT, okay? For IoT, it adds the dimension of the real world of machines, things, and spaces into the existing internet by embedding sensors to capture physical properties and actors to control their states. Basically, the highlights here is that we need to use sensors to know the status of the real world. And then we need activators to change the status of the items in the real world. So that's the, native idea. So the purpose is to enable intelligent operations involving real-world assets and machines. Basically, by thanks to the availability of the information collected and the control, so internet operations are about using software to gather insights about the real world and to automate process for transformational outcomes of different kinds. So along in this class, I will basically present a lot of examples. So maybe at this moment, the description here is a little bit vague, but as we cover many examples, then and you come back to look at this description, then you will have a better understanding. Okay, so the World Economic Forum, so it was held every year, has identified that the key business opportunities are to be found in 4 areas under the umbrella of IoT. So basically, these are also, after you graduate, if you go to work, you may also want to see whether these opportunities apply to your new job. So the first opportunity is operational efficiencies. Basically, IoT holds the potential to improve resource utilization, improve equipment uptime, something like that. The efficiency is keyword here. And also, it will become an outcome economy. So details of this description, you can read the textbook. But the key word here is that the economy is going to be transforming from selling products to selling the value. Basically, maybe 10 years ago when we talk about doing business, doing economy, we think of selling items, selling physical items, physical products. But with IoT, more opportunities will come to the area of selling the value. So what's your understanding of value? So basically, value is something that customers are willing to pay for. So with this definition, you know that products are one kind of value, right? But in addition to products, there are different other values. For example, services can be value, and and for the services, it can come into many different formats. So we'll cover some of them in this course. And also with the IoT, because IoT, they are built upon Internet of Things, internet. So it will enable connected ecosystems by using software platforms that enable online collaboration. So nowadays, you'll see that the online collaboration is getting more popular nowadays. And the last opportunity is that new means of collaboration between people and machines is also coming. So for the third opportunity, Kinetis ecosystem, it focuses on the collaboration between people. But for the last opportunity, it is collaboration between people and machines. So, for example, nowadays, you may have heard of the term collaborative robots, right? Basically, in a scenario, for example, in the factory, maybe in the hospital, the nurse will be working with a robot. For example, the robot can help the nurse to lift the body of a patient because the nurse may not be strong enough to hold the body, right? In that case, the Internet of Things is capable of enabling such kind of machine-people collaboration. So it will augment workers, increase safety and efficiency, and make work more engaging and inspiring. So believe or not, maybe later on for the courses you will be taking, there will be collaboration between the instructor, you, and the media to help you learn better. So these are the 4 business opportunities. Now let's come to see some numbers, because when we talk about the potential of something, if we come to the numbers, then, well, the importance will be revealed. So according to the McKinsey Global Institute, well, it's a major investment company. So by 2025, the potential economic impact of IoT can be 3.9 to 11.1 trillion. Well, I don't know why there is such a big range, but the number is big, right? Basically, this part will account for 11% of the total world economy. Basically, what it means that if the world economy is increased by 100 trillion, for example, then 10 trillion is 10 trillion comes from the IoT related areas. So out of this large number of trillions of potential, so actually 9 different settings were defined or identified. I would say settings means the different environments, different scenarios. So we can put them into 9 settings. The relevant potential, the relevant numbers are listed in this chart. So as we can see, usually when we look at a chart, we pay attention to what? We pay attention to the largest portion, right? So it will be the factories. Factory means manufacturing, right? So now, with that in mind, now let's look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 settings a little bit more detail. So for human, so this represents devices that attach to or inside the human body. So in terms of wearable device, if you have an Apple Watch or have a Fitbit, that's one of the IoT device now. So we focus on health and fitness, and also it will include increased human productivity. Basically, health and safety is the focus for this setting. For the home, well, basically now you have heard of the term smart home, right? Basically, you may be able to control your TV using your phone, control the temperature, something when you are out of house, something like that. But as we move on, you will know that it is just the initial status, so we can do much better in the future. The focus of home setting is the automation of domestic chores and energy management, and also security and safety. Basically, these are the objectives for the home setting. For the retail, basically we'll try to engage customers in a better way, and also automate checkouts, in-store offers, and inventory optimization. For the offices, so they are quite similar to the home setting. So the energy and work environment management will be a focus for this setting, and as well as security. For factories, so factories here are defined as standardized production environments. Basically, it is in the factory we have a streamline, something like that, the typical factory setting. So the focus here is the maintenance of equipment and automated quality monitoring. And nowadays, we also emphasize on the autonomous operation of parts of a process. For example, robot may come into role. So work site, which is also related to production, but it is customer production environments. Because so it is a relatively concept to the factories. So work site, basically each site is unique. Okay, so it may be an unpredictable environment or uncontrolled environment, such as the mining, oil, gas, and also construction sites. Basically, in my opinion, it's kind of open air, right? The focus here is the predictive maintenance. So we have talked about this many times, and also to reduce the environmental impacts. And of course, for the work safety, it is always needed, right? Okay, the next one is vehicles. I think we may, well, if we put it into a broader concept, it is transportation, right? For the vehicles, it means everything that, well, it is moving on the road, on the rail, on the sea, and in the air. Okay, the examples applications include autonomous vehicles, remote diagnosis of planning services, and also the behavior and usage of vehicle. When we put everything together, so everything together, including the vehicles, including the batteries, including the houses, including the offices, so we come up with the cities, right? Basically, it is an urban environment that's a combination of public space and different infrastructure. So for the smart city concept, we will focus on the resources, utility, safety, something like that in the smart cities. For the outside, that refers to anything outside the previous 8 settings. So for example, it may be logistic or produce goods, and also autonomous passenger vehicles outside the urban setting, something like that. But so in the past 10 slides, we covered the 9 settings briefly. But if you are interested in any of them, don't worry. So basically, after the midterm exam, we'll have detailed study for each of the settings. Basically, we'll talk about why we need IoT in those settings. We'll talk about what are the requirements for the IoT solutions in those settings. So that will be very interesting. So for all these settings, we have some barriers to overcome. They may come from technology, organizational, regulational, and even emotional. So technology, for example, the sensors may need to be able to last for 10 days, right? So you need to have power supporting technology such as battery or wireless charging to make it work. For organizational barriers, so if you would like to use IoT devices into a company, for example, so the company need to undergo significant reformation. So in that case, there may be some conflict between the departments. And also the access to data, understanding of data, and ownership of data are other barriers. Excuse me. Final look at the IoT. So another popular view of IoT is that it is a plethora of different devices and gadgets that will be connected to the internet. So because when we talk about IoT, we first need to have sensors, or at least we have a lot of information sources, right? So in that case, it took 100 years to connect around 1 billion places with fixed phones on the earth. And it took 25 years to connect 5 billion people with mobile device. So with more people now, but it just took less time to connect all of them. So for the connection, you may have heard of these terms. So the GSM, 2G, 3G, and 4G. So basically the mobile networks. And now we're talking about 5G. It will enable, actually it is also one of the main enabler of IoT. We'll talk about it later. So this chart shows the connected device in the past few years. So there are different portions. For example, the dark blue means fixed phones. it's quite stable along the years, right? The mobile phones, well, we can see it's increasing a little bit every year. It's the orange set, and also PC, laptop. Yeah, and it is increasing, but not very clearly. But for the short range IoT, so that's the yellow section, we can see clear increase every year. Short range IoT means those IoT devices, sensors, actuators, microprocessors that are using short range communication. For example, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, basically anything below 100 meters. It is short range IoT. And also, we are having an increasing number of wide area IoT devices. So it's the light blue here. Well, actually, it seems it is 5 times higher now. So for wide area IoT, so just let's have an idea. So now we can see the electricity supply cables all along the everywhere, right? So basically, we need to monitor the status of those cables, those electricity towers. But as you know, some of those towers are very remote. It is not a good idea to send people there every year to check their status. So what people now are what people is to install sensors to those remote towers, and also they incorporate some wide area communication methods. Later on, you will learn it is called LoRa or other things. So that the data from the sensors can be sent to the headquarters or sent to a remote data processing center without human participation. So that's an important application area of wide area IoT. You can come up with many such application examples. So as a summary, IoT is a game changer. It is an innovation coming from interplay of technology and business. So technology provides a possibility, and business make it into real revenue and real value. It is a systematic approach of combining devices, network, and computing infrastructures and software for extracting insights and automation. So it connects real-world objects and places. It uses different types of networks, as we mentioned, which we will cover in chapter 3 of this course. And we will develop a specified software. Basically, you can consider it to be different apps. And also, it requires infrastructure and standards to be fully deployed. So that's the first section of this course. So hopefully it helps you to have an idea of what IoT is and why it is coming up, and also the potential of it in the next 10-20 years.